welcome back everyone. My name's Eltimar and we are going to be continuing our Let's Play of Sunless Skies. Where we left off last time, we had arrived at Perdurance. Finally, we can talk to the Exasperated Butler. He praises you with an officious disapproval that testifies to years of devoted training. Yes, and he demands he leafs through a leather-covered logbook to make it clear that he is in fact terribly busy. Ask about the debutantes. Who is permitted to reside here? Why, they are the sons and daughters of Her Majesty's most valued, most trusted counselors and confidants. The residents want for nothing. They need fear nothing. They will not grow old, or know care or worry. They will be preserved forever in the flower of their youth and innocence. These are the gifts that are her renewed majesties to grant. Can the debutantes leave? He has been suspiciously silent on that score. Why on earth would they want to do that? To do so would seem remarkably ungrateful. Let's try and get in. We already know how to get in. We need the invitation. Hand over your invitation to the Exasperated Butler and join the half-light Masque. The portrait of the Empress swings open, and a succession of brightly dressed debutantes, sour-faced chaperones, and prim servants stumbles into the parlor. They barely have a moment to rest their feet and take a sip of tea before a panel of wallpaper slides open, the dark maw of a sharply curving passage just visible in the dawn light. The Exasperated Butler snatches the invitation from your hands. Remember, your invitation only lasts one day. It is a warning, but sounds a little wistful. He propels you forward to join the court in its procession. You emerge a little tender into the morning. It is morning in Perdurance. The morning room is a grander version of the parlor, presided over by the Aureate Duchess in her pink and purple silks. Dowagers of varying stateliness and aplomb take tea and converse in low tones. Other debutantes reply to correspondence, writing notes in elegant script and affixing them with a sealing wax. Meanwhile, chaperones give orders to the servants and see to Perdurance's household accounts. The light is a flush yellow, autumnally ripe. Let's find the presumptuous heiress. She must be here. But can we find her? We also have to do the Incognito Princess later, but let's try the presumptuous heiress first. The macabre counselor commissioned you to find and free her daughter, the presumptuous heiress. First, you'll need to find her among the debutantes. We have a rather low chance of success with mirrors. Let's just use a saloon-stewed gossip to ask around. Perhaps with sufficiently enticing gossip you could coax her identity from another debutante. The laconic popinjay listens avidly to your scandalous story, then inclines his fan towards a young lady leaning on the grand piano. That's her. Her mass of dark brown curls is set off with a spray of curving black-blue feathers so high they scrape the low ceiling. She's talking to the pianist, a lady of comparable build with similar brown curls, an identical chin, and matching eyes. They could be sisters. Oh. Apparently the macabre counselor has two daughters. She said nothing of this. No doubt it'll prove to be a complication. There are too many people nearby to speak with either sister discreetly, but in the evening there will be a ball. Perhaps you'll have a chance then. The morning ends. It's time to move on. Move onwards. One of the dowager duchesses rings a bell. Conversation halts with practiced suddenness. Morning is over. Everyone arrays themselves in a procession according to their station. The dowager duchess at front, debutantes just behind, then chaperones and visitors, and the servants bringing up the rear. There's much jostling for position within each group, according to the rules that you cannot begin to fathom. You enter the narrow and twisting passage, stumbling in the enveloping darkness as the debutantes giggle and shout. With each step, the shrieks of hours being spun backwards resonates through your body, leaving you shaking and worn. You emerge blinking into the dazzle of afternoon. Here, the curtains are pulled back with tasseled rope, allowing the clockwork sun to spill its dark gold into the dining room. The long table is set with rows of gleaming china, dinner plates patterned with delicate florals, silver cutlery polished to a high shine, gleams atop a pristine tablecloth. Servants pour endless glasses of watered wine or carry in the next of a stream of elaborate dishes. We can convince Wilma to speak with the brigade, which is what we need to have done. We can also try to find a way below with the Incognito Princess. We can charm a servant, charm a debutante, or charm a chaperone. We're going to try the Wilma to speak with the brigade first. A plump white rat sits in a little golden cage. A dandy is idly feeding her slivers of camembert. He's happy for you to confer with his pet. This will always advance the story, but failure may impact Wilma's part in it. We have a 100% chance. So, we are a-okay on that. Wilma patters from the dandy's palm to yours. Her whiskers twitch as Albrecht emerges from your sleeve. You're here for my part of the number? Albrecht nods solemnly. Wilma presses close to him. Dein schönher sind ungefleckt, mein Liebe. I don't know how to say that word. Ungefleckt? I don't know what that means. She whispers anyways. Your sleeve twitches and Cinders pokes her head out. Wilma jumps, neither speaks. Albrecht clears his throat. There's still a place for you, Wilma. Wilma's nose twitches. I'd like to hear that from her. After a moment, Cinders inclines her head. Wilma sniffs. That'll do for now. As you turn the dandy stance, I say, won't you give me something for my rat? Your sympathy. How can he bear to live in this prison? The dandy blanches. No, you see, I'm very happy here. Entirely happy. His fingers twitch as though, were this some other place, he'd demand satisfaction of you. Excuse me. He turns away. The debutante's favor remains unchanged at 0. We should have given him a kiss or something. We're gonna move onwards. It's now going to be probably evening. Yep. A passage opens behind the china cabinet, and the procession forms once more. You take a breath and step into the close, stifling darkness, trying not to fall behind as the passage contorts and coils. With each step, the shrieks of hours being spun backwards resonates through your body, leaving you shaking and worn. You spot a figure masked in a featureless black, their face covered by a smooth oval of polished obsidian. Who are they? It's an enormous relief to spill out into an evening at the grand ballroom. Everyone finds their place without a murmur, and courtly life is resumed, almost as though the terrors you just experienced never existed. Hanging from the grand ballroom ceiling is a vast ormolu gasolier, its spidery arms decked with crystal-cut drops. It casts a soft yellow brightness onto the masked dancers below as they whirl across the polished parquet floor. Music blends with the hum of genteel conversation and the stiff swish of starched crinolines. The half-light mask is in full swing. There's barely room to stand, much less move. Let's dance with the presumptive heiress. She favors the polka, alas. The presumptive heiress is everything you expected in a dance partner, demanding, joyful, and a touch too exuberant for propriety. Her attention is only partial on you, and only very peripherally on the steps of the dance. Instead, she waves at friends across the ballroom and whispers snatches of conversation as they pass close by. Between mincing steps interspersed with quick turns and double time, you begin to ask your questions. You ask her to leave with you. Tell her about her mother's commission. For all her frivolity, the presumptive heiress can summon a thunderous frown when the moment demands it. Leave without my poor luckless sister? I've never heard of such base cowardice, she continues for some time, casting imprecations on her mother, her plan, and your own involvement. The idea is lack-witted in the extreme, even for Mama. I would rather rot here. She plucks a crudite from a passing silver platter and looks for a servant to refill her champagne. As expected, a complication. A macabre counselor told you she has an agent in position at Perdurance to assist you. You better find them and seek advice. The heiress won't leave without her sister. We can dance with the luckless sister. Or we can start to charm people. Our veils are good, our mirrors and hearts less so, so the chaperones are sort of the people that we can get in with the most, but let's dance with the luckless sister. The luckless sister is light on her feet, with a graceful tread. Her curls escape her pins as she twirls, gleaming a dark bronze in the gaslight. She looks very much like her sister as she dances, the occasional anxious line in her face smoothing over with the abandon of youth. Still, there is a watchfulness about her. Even as you clasp hands and smile, you must seize your moments for speech somehow. You contrive. Let's explain her mother's commission. Would she be perhaps willing to convince her sister to leave Perdurance with you tonight? The luckless sister's laugh startles a nearby chaperone. He gives you a stern look, no doubt suspecting you of nefarious levities. Once her amusement subsides, she refuses. If I truly thought that would be best for my sister, I would help you. My mother would only entangle her in schemes and plots. My sister is ill-suited to a life of intrigue and suspicion. She's not surprised that her mother would abandon her here, but nor does she seem inclined to aid you. You'll need some form of leverage. Let's ask about her family. Investigate her opinions on the presumptive heiress and the macabre counselor. The luckless sister is thoughtful, where her sister is pleasingly frivolous, and considered when her sister is untroubled. You gently steer the... Wait. Splitting the fearless and considered when her sister is untroubled. There we go. You gently steer the conversation in the direction of her sister, probing for resentments or jealousies. You find none. It's only when you mention the matter of mothers that the luckless sister's quiet charm falters. The one true pleasure of this awful place is that I will likely never see her again. Awful place? You look around at the laughing dancers and their shimmering finery, at the crystal decanters dark with wine, the window's evening blaze caught and refracted in the shining chandeliers. I guess we will part for now. You part ways from the luckless sister. She returns to her position at the edge of the ballroom. Let's try and assist the chaperones. The chaperones wear drab versions of the debutantes' masks, animals patterned in shades of brown and grey. They prowl the ball, ensuring that no one is getting too friendly. You help one break up an assignation between two of their wayward charges. The chaperone's eyes blaze with such indulgence. You imagine the paste gems at her ears and throat gleam with reflected fury. As you drag the recalcitrant debutantes from behind the heavy fustian curtains, you notice that the glass of arched windows behind them is covered in a layer of soot, blocking out any possibility of sunlight. Hanging from the grand ballroom ceiling is a... Oh, we already did this. We could listen to the anxious chaperone, why not? We're admired by the inhabitants of Perdurance, we are? Why? We don't have the chaperone's bequest. We're equally admired by all parties in Perdurance. Alright, one of the chaperones approaches you as the evening ends. She has one blue eye and one green. Cool. I need your help, she says. You're trusted both by the servants and debutantes, and that is rare indeed. It inclines me to hope that you may be admirable. Thus I must ask you for a favor. You're a traveler. I trust something to your care. Without a pause, she pushes her fingers into her own eye socket. Oh my god. Into her own eye socket and pulls the eye out with a wet pop. She holds it out to you expectantly. Are you expected to take this? Wait, on closer inspection the eye is glass, although the iris is inlaid with emerald and jet, flecked with gold. My family committed themselves to the Brabazon work world to pay off their debts. This will buy years off their service. I beg you, take it to them. You wrap the chaperone's eye in your cuff. Perhaps if you're traveling that way. Okay. We're moving onwards. One of the blacked out ballroom windows opens to reveal the passage back to the parlor at dusk, or perhaps dawn. The keening of the hours as they are spun backwards makes your legs weak and your heart pound. You feel unaccountably wearied. You spot a figure masked in featureless black, their face covered by a smooth oval of polished obsidian. Who are they? You enter the parlor through the portrait of the Empress and limp away, sore-footed from the dancing and stumbling through the dark. Behind you, the members of the court of Perdurance chatter and take tea and make ready to begin their day anew. For tonight and every night thereafter is the half-light Masque. Holy crap, that is the worst existence I could possibly imagine. A chaperone taps you on the shoulder. You were equally popular with both the debutantes and the servants, a feat the chaperones admire. Never let it be said that you allowed class to dictate both the breadth of your friendships. Dictate the breadth of your friendships. The chaperones murmur quiet congratulations, remarking how your presence smoothed what is often a difficult day. They do hope you'll return. You leave richer in gossip and soothed by the distractions of the half-light Masque. Well, now we have to do this again. Probably. Let's check the... You know what? Let's check the bazaar first. We've come here. We didn't even look. They have crockery. And they have literature. You cannot buy any fuel here. Also, I'm going to just quickly turn off Hangouts because it's not supposed to bling. It's supposed to be on silent, but every time I update Windows, it seems to turn notifications back on, which is really, really annoying. Okay, anyways. Back to stories. We are going back in again. Round 2. We're joining the half-light Masque again. We're going back into the morning. Okay. Let's locate the counselor's agent. They'll be trying to make themselves known to you. You must only look for their signal. You drift nonchalantly about the room, observing and eavesdropping. At last, you come to a small corner table where one of the chaperones, a clairvoyant doctress, is shuffling tarot cards. The back of the cards bears a distinctive familiar pattern, the seal of the macabre counselor. You give the doctress the slightest of nods. She winks back. Please sit, she bids, and let me part the veil twixt present and future for you. The ominous tones are, perhaps, taking it a bit far. She's wearing modern fashions, but without any adherence to society's opinions regarding color or pattern. Paisley and magenta layer stripes of emerald and indigo. Her hair is a mousy color, her eyes unremarkable, her face is pleasing, brown, but not particularly distinguished. The overall impression she gives is one of dazzling color and clashing patterns, a deliberate misdirection. She draws gruesome hand-painted cards and lumpen crystals from clinking beaded reticule, and constantly smokes cigars. Let's get to know, well, actually, let's get to know her. You like to know the people you're committing crimes with, easier to predict the likely moment of betrayal. Never you mind about that, just stick to the plan and it'll all be alright and tight. The Clairvoyant Doctress yawns elaborately and dismisses you with the majesty of a dowager duchess. What's that smell in her breath under the bitterness of the cigars? Candle wax? That can't be right. Let's introduce ourselves. You were promised help? Well, here it is. The Clairvoyant Doctress tosses the edge of her floral embroidered capelet and runs a hand down an equally elaborate bodice. Oh my. I'm to be the heiress's replacement. We'll swap clothes and perhaps a few other items. No one will know to look for her because she'll still be here. Clever, yes? Perhaps your skepticism shows, she grins. Ah, you think we don't look alike. Allow me to reassure you, that is a temporary inconvenience. I'll worry about that, you worry about finding an escape route. I'd recommend gossiping with the debutantes, chaperones, and servants. Every cage, no matter how gilded, has a hatch through which someone can remove shit. You mentioned the complication of the surplus sister, and that the heiress refuses to leave without her. Quite. Is our employer forgetful? Do you think, or manipulative? It doesn't matter, of course. We were paid for a single sister, and I can't split myself in two. You'll just have to convince the Mrs. Macabre to separate, won't you? Alright. Let's return to the morning room. And now we are moving onwards, apparently. Oh, I see it's changed this time. Interesting. Okay. Perdurance's morning room is this time the domain of the Duchess of Meridium, bright-eyed despite the night's revels. Dowagers of varying stateliness and aplomb take tea and converse in low tones. Other debutantes reply to correspondence, writing notes in elegant script and affixing them with sealed wax. Meanwhile, chaperones give orders to the servants and see to Perdurance's household accounts. The light is thin, winter bright. It's now afternoon, so we can gossip with the chaperones or speak with the Clairvoyant Doctress, but let's gossip with the chaperones. Where else to look for scandal but amongst the guardians of morality? Perhaps they know something useful about the Macabre Counselor's daughters. Wine loosens their tongues. The older of the Macabre Counselor's daughters was until recently engaged in an affair with the Felignius forewoman below stairs, a woman lacking in social status or connection. You point out the regimentation of each cycle. How could the Luckless Sister possibly slip away to an assignation? The chaperones indicate the nearby dumbwaiter, built to carry hot food and dirty dishes from below stairs. A concealed door in the morning room apparently serves similar purpose. Next time you visit, perhaps you should look a little below the stairs. So now we can find the secret staircases. It's time to move on already. The passage behind the china cabinet. Oh, it's the same thing as the last time. We can now gossip with the debutantes. They have sharp eyes in their minds, and minds under the flounces of taffeta, or so you hope. Perhaps they know something that will aid you in your escape with the counselor's daughter. The debutantes tell you of the governess, the Empress's agent who wears oval masks of featureless obsidian. They are only glimpsed in the passages between morning and afternoon, between afternoon and evening, and between evening and dusk, or perhaps dawn. You hear stories of disappearances and secret tribunals of interrogations and re-education, a court that lies beneath the court. There are hidden hatches in the passages, the doors of night. The governesses use them to remove those of us whose families displease Her Majesty. You wonder whether you can make a certain sister vanish in the same manner. After evening would be best. Let's try and locate the governess's secret tunnels. You've learned that the governess's masked agents of Her Majesty use hidden doorways into and out of the passages between Perdurance's rooms. If you can find one, it would be the exact escape route you needed. The music ends, the dancing dies, the lights dim, the chaperones, like patient sheepdogs, herd the debutantes together. The door from evening opens into a lightless passage. As ever, the debutantes gossip and giggle, using merriment as their shield against the gloom and the faceless figures it might hold. This time, as you pass along the corridor, you turn your eyes from the candles to preserve your night vision. You ignore the procession and study the dark. There, a cloaked figure in a featureless obsidian mask emerges from an unseen door. They glide alongside the procession, looking intently into each person's face. The debutantes look away, a touch of hysteria creeping into their jollity. You search the walls where the governess appeared, finding a crack of a closed door and the hidden catch that opens it. This is the escape route you need to squirrel one of the sisters away. On a future evening in Perdurance, when all is in place, you'll be able to make use of this. And our time in Perdurance ended again. A debutante veers away at the last moment. Terribly sorry, I thought you were somebody else. It appears you made little impression during your time here. The inhabitants of Perdurance are already hard at work, percolating the feuds and affairs that will dominate their next day. You make a quiet exit. Again! It's now morning in Perdurance yet again. Okay, this is all the same. Let's go below stairs. A concealed door blends in with the wallpaper here behind a bamboo screen, allowing servants to pass modestly in and out. The areas below stairs are part like kitchen of a grand country house, and part like a factory floor. Cooks prepare food in enormous pots, servants appear with empty plates to be scraped off and cleaned, even while others carry steaming dishes upstairs. Further back are rows upon rows of hour looms, each tended by weavers, with their hair pinned tightly back. The heat of the cooking combines with the shudder of machinery and pandemonium. Let's talk to the Fuliginous forewoman. She's an impressive sight, presiding over the din with aplomb and a rolling pin. The forewoman's waistcoat is dark and tightly buttoned. Beneath it, a corset strives gallantly against her ample figure. Her skirt is hitched up over a pair of soot-stained trousers and ankle boots. Strings of glass beads glitter at her throat, casting dazzles over her rich ochre skin as she bellows orders, sending workers scurrying from this loom to that. She turns to you, her eyes are lined with pitch, grime, or cosmetic affectation. Let's ask her about the Luckless Sister. Inquiring about illicit love affairs almost always goes well. You've only been slapped twice. Well, thrice. The Fuliginous, there we go. Forewoman's expression turns hard in an instant. Them above have been talking, have they? Snide little gossips. She's the only one of them worth anything. She sounds remarkably affectionate as she warms to her subject. Perhaps it was the Luckless Sister who broke off their affair. No, it was me, the forewoman admits miserably. Her face spasms for a moment. She draws out a handkerchief from her corset and coughs heartily into it. She shoves the handkerchief into a pocket, but not before you notice a violet stain on the fabric. Aha. She has more secrets. Let's ask her about the handkerchief. You noticed a violet stain on it, the precise color of a certain aggressive strain of fungus found in the Reach. Saw that, did you? I traveled before I was the forewoman, and on my journeys I was exposed to certain spores. They colonize both my lungs and my thoughts, and are part of something old and vast. They wake terrible impulses into me, the last and latest of which is to bring them home. I've denied them as long as I can. I must leave soon. She looks away. That's why I broke off the affair. Better to do it like that than to sneak off in the night. I thought about asking her to leave with me, thus, but it would mean abandoning her sister, and what if the spores colonized her too? But maybe... No use worrying on the maybes. Alright, maybe we can leave with the sister. One of the sisters. Or both the sisters? I'm gonna end up with both the sisters and this person, aren't I? We are moving on to the next room. It's now afternoon again. We are now in the afternoon part. We can go back below stairs, but I don't think we need to at the moment. We could probably go downstairs with our Incognito Princess here. Dearest mother showed me the plan, says the princess. The engineer should be back here. Engineering. I do so wish to observe them. She gestures at a seemingly solid wall and urges you to follow. Sure, why not? The loom chambers below stairs thunder and smoke. There are rows upon rows of hour looms, each tended by the weavers, with their long hair pinned tightly back. The heat of the cooking combined, it's the same thing. We're at the... Watching over it all are the theoretical engineers. Access to them barred. Engineers only, says the sign, in an angry font. Let's get the driver. The driver's an engineer. They could get you in. Or the rats. The rats, they're engineers. They'll get us in. Well, the rats clearly unnerve everyone. When their knowledge of matters mechanical becomes clear, it's easy to arrange a meeting with the engineers who keep Perdurance trapped in its single perfect day. The Incognito Princess is enchanted by the turning machinery, and the engineers are as enchanted with her. They form a hive of activity around her, competing to answer her questions. She seems unsatisfied and presses harder. Change is the one constant though, she says. How do you truly prevent it? By what methods does change try to escape your bondage? She realizes you're still there and dismisses you, saying she can find her own way back. Well, fine then, I'm gonna rejoin the Masque. Jerk. We don't need to go beneath the stairs, do we? I mean, we could. Just to see what's down there. It's just it's the same conversation path. Okay, we don't need to be down here. We're moving onwards. The ball, though? Yes. Let's dance with the Luckless Sister first. I'm going to reconcile her with the forewoman. You can try at least, so perhaps the presumptuous heiress will be easier to persuade when she knows her sister. Wait, no, I wanted to leave with her. Oh well, we'll reconcile them when she knows her sister has a better reason to stay. You begin by hinting at the I can't say that word. Fuliginous for women's secret motives, casting their entire situation in the frame of a romantic tragedy. The Luckless Sister attempts to look uninterested, but her eyes betray her. You tell her the truth that the forewoman suffers from a singular fungal condition, that in order to tend it she will need to leave Perdurance, that she has ended the relationship in order to protect the Luckless Sister. I don't need protecting, the sister snaps. Indeed. But she can't stay with her lover and her sister, can she? Oh, you're clever for a brute. Very well, if you promise to take my sister away from here, I'll convince her to go with you. Perhaps after this business with the fungus, I will see her again. You better bring the forewoman the good news. The song ends. Can we go downstairs? No, we can't. But we can dance with the presumptuous heiress. But she doesn't care right now. Oh no, there you go. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I guess there's really nothing going on. Okay. The fuliginous woman or forewoman knows our interests. I'm just gonna call her the woman. The cleaner your escape, the better. The forewoman is a complication. You'll need to get her on side. Okay. We will assist the chaperones. Try to win favor with both the servants and the debutantes. We are good to go on both of that. 2 more. It's thinking. There we go. We're moving onwards. The music stops. Time in Perdurance is at an end again. We have to go. The chaperone taps us on the shoulder again. We got less terror, some experience, salon suit gossip, whatever. Alright, back in to go. We now have only 5 invitations. Below stairs we go. Talk to her. Reconcile her with the Luckless Sister. You just wanted them to see them happy. Well, and also to see the forewoman stays quiet about your escape with the heiress. You enlarge upon the Luckless Sister's willingness to renew her relationship with the forewoman and to elope together if the need arises. She'd come with me, even appreciating my condition. Damn and blast, that girl's got 3 times the courage she does sense, and that's a fact, but I couldn't. You talk her rounds from her wavering. After all, it's true love conquers all, not true love conquers everything but some mushrooms. I mean, that's a fair point. Alright, now we can finally move onwards. We might be able to do the whole kidnapping thing at this point. We need to speak with the Clairvoyant Doctress and explain the plan. All is ready for our escape. The sisters are willing to part. An avenue of escape has been identified. Can she do her part? Yes, give me a sign in the evening. We'll meet in the passages between evening and the parlor. Alright, we are all ready to go. Can we just... I guess we'll speak with her again? Oh, there's nothing here. Nothing we can do. We can just do both again. Only a partial success though. The chaperone sighs and concentrates on spearing beige beans with his fork. Ennui is a recurring menace in Perdurance. As potent as any influenza, perhaps someone else will be more interested. Unfortunate, we're not balanced anymore. That's gonna be okay. We're getting a weird lag though. We're moving onwards. Now we're in the evening. Alright, here we go. We can finally do this. Okay, first of all, let's dance with the presumptive heiress. Okay. She doesn't want anything to do with us, so we just make our escape. All is ready. You give the Clairvoyant Doctress the faintest of nods, and she clicks her bag shut with a determined snap. The evening takes an interminable time to end. You enter waltz after dragging waltz. Debutantes wheel endlessly around the dance floor. Then it's over. The music and the dancing cease. The chaperones and debutantes form the procession and pass on the parlor at dawn. Or perhaps dusk. And we'll begin the day again. You catch the eye of the presumptive heiress, who gives you a nervous nod. The door opens, the dark passage beckons, the procession files in. No sooner have you passed through the door than you hear a clatter behind you. The doctress has made a show of dropping her bag in the dark and searching for it. The chaperones are distracted. Taking the presumptive heiress's hand, you pull her to the hidden door. You fumble at the catch. There's a trick, it seems. Hurry, your charge hisses. The catch opens, the door turns, you step through. You wait with the presumptive heiress in the passage between the door of night. Her breathing is shallow and tense. You hear the procession move on, then there's a tap at the hidden door. The doctress, who sees uncannily well in the dark, is there. You admit her. Right, she says professionally, scrutinizing your companion's features. Time to do my bit. What exactly is your bit? The presumptive heiress asks. Let's complete our escape with the presumptive heiress. Her once luckless sister may even now be making her own escape with the fuliginous foreman. That's a really tough word for me. But perhaps that's not something the doctress needs to know. The doctress removes an unguent from her bag and begins scrubbing it into the heiress's temples, along her hairline, behind the ears, and under the jaw. If you disappear, they'll look for you, the doctress explains, indicating that the other woman is to lie on the floor. Therefore, I'll be needing a replacement. Or therefore, I will be your replacement. Ideally, I'd give that stuff another minute's work, but I need to rejoin the procession before you're missed. Be still and be quiet. Sitting astride the heiress, she pushes her sharp fingernail into the skin of the girl's temple and slides like a scalpel around her face with a sound like tearing paper. I can't feel it. Why can't I feel it? The heiress gasps. The doctor shushes her. When the incision is complete, the doctress reaches up and with a tug slides off her own face. Behind it is a solid knot of muscle, palpitating and inhuman. Like a magician, whipping a tablecloth from beneath a set of crockery, she swaps her face with the heiress's. A few pinches and tucks, and the application of ointment from another jar, and the process is complete. Done, says the doctress, as the presumptive heiress feels the unfamiliar shapes of her new face. You turn your back as they quickly trade clothes. Comfort the heiress. Her hands are shaking. This is not, you suspect, what she had anticipated. I had not realized how much I would have to give up, she says, her voice trembling. There will be more yet, the doctress notes, experimenting with her new face's expressions. Her renewed majesty would be incandescent if she learned one of her prized hostages had escaped its silvered cage. Then it's time to part. The doctress returns to the procession, and you lead the heiress on. The governess's hidden tunnels wind behind the grand chambers and beneath the hour looms. You pass cells and shelves of records, sometimes hear voices and hide until they pass. Eventually you find your way to an exterior gantry from where you can see the engine, your engine, in the sidings of the parlor. Using a stolen lamp, you flash a signal until your crew comes to collect you. We now have the Chancellor's daughter. That was quite the adventure. Now we can return the presumptive heiress to her mother at the most serene mausoleum. Oh. And that's it. We're gonna end the video here. That was 33 minutes of just talking. Like always, if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, in the next video, we will head to the mausoleum, which is sort of just directly northwest-ish of us. We also can talk, actually, we'll do this really quickly. About the princess. Ask Her Highness about the rumors. The crew whisper of all the engineers in Perdurance just disappearing, leaving naught but sporadic ghostly screams in the machinery. Is this true? That's horrible. 24 starlings buzz around the princess's quarters. It takes some time to make yourself heard. It's not true, said the princess, gesturing at a short woman in tall hair and spectacles. My friend was an engineer. She hasn't disappeared. She's right here. The analytical suitor sits, staring adoringly at the princess. However, I'm glad you're here. I understand that a new poetical movement, inspired by the more melancholic strands of the celestial school, is meeting in Whirlberry Juxtamer. I wish to better study this notion. Sadness. It is quite beyond me. She smiles. You're outside. So now she wants to go all the way up there. We'll deal with that also in the next video. Take care, guys. See you next time.